All right, we're back with another episode of Courage to Change. I got Nick Ramos this week. What's up, man?
What's up, bro? How you going?
It's good. It's good. Yeah. So, man, so Nick is a CDL driver at CDR, and he's a Firstep alumni. I met Nick about 2 years ago, taking a meeting up to Firstep, and what stood out about Nick is his super genuine delivery of how he tells his story, and it's like it's real life. It's like there's no sugarcoating, when it comes to us guys in recovery. We want to some people want to like fluff it up a little bit, this is a rigorous, honest program of recovery that we apply to our lives along with these spiritual principles. That's why I was excited to sit down with Nick. It's been about a year or so we've been talking about sitting down, and he's finally in town, and he's available, and he makes himself available to me and so many other people in recovery. He's giving me rides. He gives other people rides. He's so busy. Like right after this, he's got some commitments that he has to take. That he has to meet. That's recovery based. And Nick, I just wanted to let you know that I talked to Nate before you got here.
Oh yeah.
And I know we both spent a lot of time with Nate in this process throughout this journey. And what I like to do is I like to ask guys that we know we spend a lot of time with before I interview. I like to ask them. So give me a few words about Nick. What stands out?
Okay.
And this is what Nate said.
No.
He said he's super involved. And what I liked about what he said, which is so true about you, is that he doesn't like to take. He's not a guy that has to take control of situations. He just lets stuff happen as it happens. So like he lets the fellowship grow around him, not trying so hard to latch on to people, in recovery, like you see some people do, and they latch on to people because of the things that they have.
Yeah.
And he said, I thought that rang so true about you, and I thought it was super special that he said that.
Yeah, that's nice.
yeah. So you're approaching 2 years sober.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit of background about you and your story and your bottom.
Okay. Well, about 2 years ago, around this time, on this day, 2 years ago, I was in jail. I was in Kansas. What led me getting arrested there in Kansas was theft charges and drug charges. And I was, before I got arrested, life was pretty terrible. I couldn't show up for my son. Couldn't show up to work. I couldn't pay bills. I was miserable. I didn't necessarily I never really contemplated suicide, but I would wake up and wonder if this was going to be the last day. I wasn't brave enough to do it myself or anything like that, but I was pretty miserable. And honestly, getting arrested July 14th of 2017, it was a relief that I didn't have to make excuses as to why I wasn't going to see my son that weekend, or why I couldn't show up for this or that, or pay this bill. It was a relief, now I've got this solid excuse, I'm in jail now. You guys can't expect anything from me now. And during that time, I really didn't, upon getting arrested, I really didn't think I had a drug problem or an alcohol problem, even though I was drinking every day from sun up. And I wasn't hardly sleeping at all. I was on drugs. I was using meth daily, and I drank all the time with it. But I did not think I had a drug or alcohol problem. And when I was in jail, I spent a lot of time in solitaire. I got into a lot of trouble. And one of the times that I was in there in solitaire for 2 weeks, I was, I realized maybe I am the problem. Here I am, stone cold sober, and I can't stay out of trouble, not even in jail.
Right.
And but I didn't know what a solution would be. I
Right.
just was thinking maybe I'm the problem, and I guess this is the cards I was dealt.
Right.
So, but I spent some time. I ended up being in Kansas for 7 months, and I was on probation in Guyman. So they extradited me from Kansas jail to Guyman, Oklahoma's jail, and I was there for a few more months, and Guyman was going to send me to prison, but they came up with an alternative. They were like, you can either do 6 months in rehab or go to prison. And honestly, I had to think about it. Like, that was, sitting here right now at this moment, like, that's a pretty clear decision on what the better option is. But back
6
then,
months
yeah,
or prison.
yeah.
Let me think about that.
Seriously, yeah. Well, I didn't think I had a drinking or drug problem.
Right.
Like, even though I had been sober most of the time, those 9 months I was in jail, like, I honestly didn't think that I had a drug problem. So, I ended up going to rehab, but a week before they released me from Guyman's jail to go to rehab, like, I was a trustee, and this guard and me got into an argument, and he took away my trustee stuff, and he came to the door to give me my regular orange jumpsuit, and I pushed him, and so yeah, that caused a big ordeal. I ended up getting put into solitary yet again, and I don't know, I kind of had a moment while I was in there. I was just like, golly, like, I'm kind of a loser, you know? I have no control over the actions that I do. Like, if I get mad or if I'm sad about something, like, I don't have control over my life. I want control over my actions somehow, some way. Like, how can I do this? So, thank God the guard didn't press charges or anything like that, and that's a huge blessing in my life. And I ended up at rehab, and I was, at that point in time, at that moment, I was just ready for something different. Like, I didn't necessarily, like, want to think about, like, not drinking or not doing drugs, but I wanted something different. I wanted to be able to take positive action in my life and be a dad and not have control over my actions.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
So the turning point began there in solitary, and that's when your mindset started to change. You go to Firstep. You're introduced to some spiritual principles that you practice today. What's the talk about Firstep a little bit, like, because that's where I met you, and I remember you're still doing the same stuff that you did then. You're super active.
No, thank you.
So talk about those relationships and what Firstep did for you in your recovery.
Okay, well, there's a lot of people who bring a message of hope out to Firstep on different days of the week, and when those guys would come, I would hear them saying my story, and I'd see them, and like I see that they're happy, they're reasonably happy, and it seems like they're having a good life, and I wanted what they had, so I asked them for help, on God, basically like a wise counsel, on this path, and like how can I change my behavior, and I've made a lot of good friends. A lot of those people I still see on a regular basis, and we're all just enjoying life and not living the way we used to, and we're doing it together. And I learned at Firstep that it's really like a we deal, and we can support each other, and help each other along this journey.
Yeah.
The first step wasn't terrible, but it's definitely not like a super nice rehab.
Right.
That. Yeah, like if you're at first step, like more than likely, this is what somebody told me. Like you're probably an alcoholic or a drug addict. If you end up at first step, it's not top of the line rehab or anything like that.
Yeah, that's good stuff. When you said that reminded me of Daryl Rebiano. Yeah. He's a good guy. I can't wait to sit down with him as well.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
So cool. So also, what I like about you is that you've had some challenges coming out, and then as far as with your car accidents, a couple car accidents, and then but you've traveled a lot.
Yeah.
And and I remember when you first got out Firstep, that was like the coolest thing ever.
It was,
right?
Yeah.
And you're still doing it. And then you got your CDLs, and then that was a super a milestone for you.
Yeah.
And then, but I know and then you went to New York in Boston.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. So my job requires me to travel a lot, and I drive, and and I pick up equipment for the company I work for, and that was kind of hard at first, but like I just, wherever I go, I try to find people who are on the same journey as me, and I try to connect with them, and that helps. And I stay in touch with people back here in Oklahoma City, and that helps. Yeah, but Boston, New York City, I went to a little fellowship gathering out there in Boston, and we had time to go up to New York City on the train, and that was a blast. Like, and I'm not privy to things like that when I'm drinking, when I'm doing drugs. Like, I can't make things like that happen in my life. You know? Yeah, it's not. First of all, it's not a priority, and that's something I'll never forget. You know, and I can't believe that things like that. You know, we can do things like that sober. You know? We don't have to get messed up and go party in New York City. Like, we can go to New York City and have a good time and and fellowship, and it was fun, man.
Yeah, I saw the pictures. I'm jealous, but because I was supposed to go, but it's okay. It's okay. I'll have another opportunity.
Bro. Yeah,
it's all right. So what we were talking the other day on the phone a couple weeks ago, and then this is another thing I like about this whole process is as we the more sober we stay, then we grow, our values and things that we want changes, right? And so at the beginning of the process, traveling was a cool deal for you, but now you've had some growth and some spiritual maturity, and you're like, man, I kind of want to stay put somewhere and have some more of a routine, not to say that you don't have a solid foundation, but to just you want things to be stationary a little bit so that you could grow right here, you know what I mean? And I thought that was super cool because like there's a lot of us that don't recognize that type of stuff, you know what I mean? But can you talk about that a little bit?
It definitely is still really cool that I get to travel, but I'm not able to be as involved as maybe I'd like, and I'm not, like, if you ask me to do something a week from today, like, I can't tell you for sure that I can do that because, something could pop up at work and I could be gone, and I feel like I would become make a lot more lasting friendships if I was here. I still have a lot of great friends. In the fellowship, and it's just, it would be it'd be nice to be able to be like, I can be there every week for a month. I'll be at this place every week on Wednesdays or whatever it is. Like, it would be nice to be able to do some of those things. Then on another note, this week I was in Albuquerque, and I came back through Amarillo on Wednesday night, and my son lives in Amarillo, so I got to eat dinner with my son. Like, sometimes things line up like that on the road, and I can see different family members and stuff like that. So,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, and then let's real quick. You're talking about your family members, and then I remember you introducing your sister to us. At a fellowship gathering, and that was pretty cool. I was like, wait. I was like, what? I was like, how did that happen? Was she just visiting in town?
Yeah, she was just in town, and she came by, and that sister that you met, like, a few years ago, she wouldn't have anything to do with me. Like, did not want to see me, did not want to talk to me, didn't want me around, wouldn't go anywhere I was, and now we're like best friends.
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah, it's just a beautiful gift of God, man.
It is. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so vision for you. So 3 to 4 years from now, in a perfect world, what does Nick Ramos' life look like?
Well, man, it's hard to say. Some things that I want, though, are like, it'd be cool to like buy a house, man. You know what I mean? It'd be cool to buy a house. It'd be cool to be closer to my son, because he's 4 now and he's growing, and next year he's going to be going to school, and it would be amazing to be in that process of like
picking him up,
going to watch a soccer game or baseball game or whatever, and things like that. Also, maybe like dive into more of a career, like for work, and man, I have some goals that maybe not. I'd like to be off probation, man.
Right. That's
I'm
good,
still on supervised probation. Like check in every month. That would be a huge blessing and a huge that's a huge goal. I've been on probation since I was like 17.
Yeah,
I'm 26.
Yeah.
So yeah, things like that. I'd like to be sober. You know, like one day at a time. Up, 3 or 4 years from now, and be more involved in what I do here in Oklahoma City. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna backpedal a little bit. So
Okay.
So Nick, you're still in sober living.
Yeah.
And I remember when you had the opportunity to leave.
Oh yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
I was like, man, well, you come be our roommates, and you're like, nah, I'm gonna stay where I'm at.
Yeah.
And like that is so huge because some people don't do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For whatever reason, even if it was probation, recommendation, but still, some people don't do that, and it has given you like some balance, and I bet you've seen a lot of different faces come in and out of there, right?
Yeah, no, it's true, yeah.
And some are still not with us, right. I would think, yeah, because this is not. It's like 1 out of 20 of us are gonna, have long-term recovery, and so I think that's super huge and super important to talk about. Like for someone out there listening, that I stayed in sober living for a year, and then until I took that leap, and so you're still, still being in sober living. That's not a bad thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like some people look at it like it's horrible. And they look at it like it's a negative thing.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, I don't think it's that bad. Now a year from now, if I'm still in sober living, maybe I need to take an inventory about what I'm doing with my life. But yeah, I've been in there about a year now, and but I enjoy it, and I think it's played a big part in my recovery, man. Yeah, having that accountability. Yeah,
so another one of the guys that we've come to know in the fellowship, and that stands out to me. I think that's a big part of my recovery and my growth in recovery is Brandon. Yeah. So do you guys still talk?
Yeah. We talk. We used to work together, and we used to talk a lot more than what we do now. But yeah, Brandon, he went through Firstep, and like it's nice. Seeing somebody making it who was where I was, he was at the same place a few years before me, and he did certain things. He lives his life on spiritual principles, and his life has changed. Yeah, and stuff like that, especially in the early days, really gave me hope and in this deal. So.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Okay, so I nevers. Okay, what's an I never for you, either in recovery or in living in addiction?
Yeah, I never thought I'd miss out on my son's birthday, and not be in jail, and I did that. I never thought I'd be addicted to meth. Right. Did that. I'd never thought that I'd spend as much time as I have in jail as I have. So.
And I never in recovery, so I never thought I'd go to New York.
Oh, yeah. I never thought I'd go to New York City. I never thought I'd be traveling all around the country for my job. Yeah. Oh, my job, they give me a company credit card. That's awesome. They entrust, they hold, they trust that I'm going to do the things that I say I'm going to do. Right. And that in itself is a miracle. I promise no other job I've ever had, you wouldn't want to trust me, Right. I've stole from all the other jobs I've ever had my whole life. Right. And I haven't stole from this job, and I never thought that I'd have such an important position at a place.
Yeah. So. You know what? I'm gonna jump in on this. I never thought I would have so many friends.
yeah, that too.
I have so many friends. I can't even keep up with them. Yeah. I can't even keep up with their lives, and I need to check in on guys a lot more often, and it's because it's so many now that it just keeps growing and growing and growing. Crazy. It's cool. It's super cool. And I love that part about my life now today, that I can say that. And also, okay, so we're gonna move on to superhero or superpower.
Okay.
Which one do you choose?
I think Iron Man would be cool, man.
Yes!
Yeah, 'cause he's just super smart, man.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
He invents a lot of stuff. I mean, he figured out time travel.
Yeah.
In the latest Avenger movies. So.
Yeah. That's good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so and the last thing, like, what would you say to someone out there still struggling, like with their addiction and alcoholism?
Oh, man, I would say that there definitely is hope, and there is somebody out here that has been where you've been, and they're sober and they're reasonably happy today, and that if you look around and you want something different, you can find it. Yeah, you can definitely find it. So.
Yes, yeah. That's awesome. You heard right here from Iron Man Nick Ramos.
Yeah.
All right, bro. Thank you so much, man, for your time, and you're a good example of what this deal represents, man. I really look up to you.
Oh man, I look up to you, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you heard it, Brian Wright, Nick Ramos, Courage to Change, grace and peace.